Hello and welcome. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today to talk about books. And today, it's the books I read for the second week of the Readathon. I finished 2 books in the second week. They were Piranesi by Susanna Clarke and The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. And both of these books are fantasies, but they're quite different from one another. Let's start with Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And I really love this book, but whatever I tell you about the book will not do it justice. So you're not going to understand how great this book is from me talking about it. So if you're at all intrigued, please just read it. Piranesi's world is an endless house. And the author was in part inspired by the engravings of 18th century Italian artist Giovanni Piranesi. And if you see one of his engravings, you'll better understand the setting of his book. So I printed one off. It's a very elaborate world. The house is so large that it can take over a day to get from one part of it to another part of it. The upper level is in the clouds, the lower level experiences tides and floods. And Piranesi understands the house intuitively. And he cares for the house and all that it contains. And it contains artwork and statues and skeletons. The story is told as a series of journal entries through which we learn that Piranesi has been in this world for a while. And we learn that his only friend is someone who he refers to as the other. And Piranesi explains that the other is not always in the same part of the house that Piranesi is in. Part of what Piranesi does is research the house and the world to help gain information for the other. Piranesi trusts the other, but when the world he observes contradicts what the other has told him, Piranesi's views begin to shift. So what's to like about this book? The world it's set in is beautiful. And through Piranesi's love of the house, you'll come to love it too. Piranesi himself is a gentle character in search of knowledge. You'll love the mystery at the core of the story and the gradual unraveling of that mystery and the dreamlike atmosphere. The first time I read this book, it was a 5-star read. This time when I reread it, it was a 5-star read. And after I first read it, I read every Susanna Clarke book I could get my hands on. If you want to immerse yourself in another of this author's worlds, try reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, especially if you like stories with a little magic and parallel worlds. It's a long one, and there are footnotes, but it's well worth the read. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. And this is a gothic fantasy romance. You'll love it if you love your fantasy romance with folklore and knights. Sybil is a diviner who lives with 5 other diviners at Aisling Cathedral. Each of these diviners was found as a foundling and was brought to the cathedral by the abbess. And in return, they served the abbey for 10 years. And people come from all over to have their readings done. When they do the readings, the diviners receive visions from 6 beings known as the Omens. This group of diviners is coming to the end of their 10-year term, and they spend some of their time telling one another of the adventures that they are going to have once they leave the cathedral. While the king is visiting the cathedral for a reading, all 6 of the diviners sneak out to visit the fair, and one of the king's knights goes along with them to keep an eye on them and make sure that they're safe. And that knight is Rory. So Rory and Sybil have an antagonistic relationship from the start, and you'll probably figure out pretty quickly where that relationship is going to go. The diviners all love their mini escape from the cathedral and are even more excited about their upcoming release from service. But soon, one of them goes missing during the middle of the night. And although Sybil thinks something serious is happening, the abbess believes that this diviner has just run away. But when one by one more of the diviners disappear, Sybil isn't so sure about that. She believes something terrible is happening to them. So Sybil leaves the cathedral to go in search of her missing friends and finds help from the king and his knights. The search for the diviners leads them into 5 hamlets, each dedicated to one of the omens. What's to love about this book? The dark and eerie atmosphere. It's a very atmospheric read. The gargoyle who accompanies Sybil on the journey, much of the humor in this book comes from that character. The magic and folklore of this story is wonderful. And the growth of Sybil as she searches for the other diviners and as she faces hard realities when she meets them. If you are looking for something similar, try the Shepherd King duology, also by Rachel Gillig, including the first book, One Dark Window, which I really loved, and the second book, Two Twisted Crowns, which I haven't yet read, but I will be reading soon. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed this look at my week 2 reading, including Piranesi and The Night and the Moth. I really do recommend both of these. I'll be back next week when we will talk about Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And I don't have my copy, so I just grabbed this one off the library shelf. And I'm going to get started reading this very soon. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read.